Features are flat, uh, not showing any sign of life so far. Let's see. All right, so looking at futures, this was the pump that happened towards the end of the day, all the way from 415 and whatnot into 4180 or something like that. It came back down a little bit, but then it closed towards the highs of perhaps about here, 4173, somewhere on that. And since then, the futures are flat and expecting this thing to continue. When I say continue, I mean a little bit up and down, but till FOMC, I'm not looking for any major moves either to the upside or to the downside. Perhaps it will be staying within the this range. Might be 4180 to perhaps downside is 4170. So or maybe even a bit bigger range, 4160 to 4180. So 20 points range on ES. Not really looking for big moves. And this is where, even if it pushes up, it has to take a breather here, 4185. This is in anticipation of FOMC tomorrow. However, I believe that 50% is baked into the markets. Tomorrow would be just a reaction. Everything would be the way it is, but tomorrow would be just a reaction to it. I think I don't really know how to read it at this point in time because it has gone down quite a bit, and it is starting to bounce off of this number. So tomorrow we might hit. So again, the base case is 4186, and nice to have would be 4213 on the future side of things. But if Apple starts a push up, we can look for a push into 4280, and then perhaps 4300 to the upside with FOMC happening. So good 100 points to the upside, 120 points to the upside post FOMC. And then let's look for the downside. What is the downside? This is where it should push into. Anything, 50, even 50 bips, I think, to the downside. Let's not do this. Let's, okay. 4030 is 40, or rather 4040, perhaps 4030, 4040. That's the range I'm looking to the downside. And this would be a good spot to bounce. Let's go on over the month. And we have already hit the mean, and all this has happened. And now it's going back to the mean. We're at the mean and sitting somewhere around here right now. So that's a good thing that it has crossed the mean, and it was struggling here and did cross the mean. That's a good thing. So if it pushes higher, then what are we looking for? We are looking for 4,300 right here. So if it can push here, so this is the number that you're looking for. And a breather there and come back down. But if it doesn't start to push and it starts to break down, and then 4,100 is the first number that it's going to hit, 4,100 to 4,110. And we are looking for a push into 4033. So 4030 to 40 is pretty much doable. Uh, and yeah, this is I think this is pretty much doable. So to the downside, the base case would be 4118 to 4110. So let's round that up at 4110. The base case to the downside is why 4110. Let's round that up at 4100. Base case to the downside on FOMC. And if that breaks, we are looking for a push into 4030s. And if that breaks, we're looking for 4,000. But currently, not really pricing in 4,000. For 4,000 to happen, Apple should actually come back into 140s. I don't see that is happening yet. So, not really pricing in the 4,000 yet. So, to the downside, here is the 4100. 4100 is a good enough number, I think. 4100 is a good enough number. So let's see if we can get some better read on the situation. Where's the 1 hour? This is the 1 hour. So base case to the downside would be this mean. Right? So we go by 1 hour, where the 1 hour is sitting right now. The base case to the downside is the mean, 41.65. And then a good to have would be probably 41.60. But then if that breaks, we are looking for a push into 41.40s. This is what we're looking for. If I'm So this is the chart that I focus more on throughout the day. So this is suggesting the base case to the downside is right around the mean, 41.65, and the upside is about 65, 41.65, 41.85 to the upside. But tomorrow, FOMC might change all of that. Base case is still intact around 41.65, and if it starts to push, we're looking for 4100 to the downside. If that breaks, then we're looking for the lows of 2nd May, Friday, basically the lows of Friday. Should that break, at this point, I'm not really pricing in a break of that, but if that breaks, then we are looking for a push into 4,033. So this should be the bottom. This should be somewhere around. It should bounce around. If it comes back into 100 points, 130 points. Not really looking for that just now. But if something goes, the selling is selling. If the selling intensifies or whatnot, then this is where I would be looking for a bottom, 40.33 to 40.40 range. And if you want to go below that, yeah, you could go below that into 4,000, but I'm not really plotting that right now. 4,000 is not where I am sitting. So to the upside, this is the base case, and not the base case, not the base case. I slipped my tongue there. To the upside, this is what we are looking for. 41.88. If it clears here, then the base case is 42.16, 42.11. The technicals are coming down, so this is the base case to the downside, the 8 on the daily. And good to have would be about here, 42.82. If that clears, then we're looking for a clear shot into 4,300. So that's on the ES side of things. And SPX side of things, uh, most likely comparable to same thing. Let's see, SPX. So if the market were to be opened, it is trading exactly where it is right now. SPX is trading there. So sorry, ES is trading there. So SPX should be trading around that number as well. To the upside, immediate upside is this 4204. And if it crosses that, then 4218, and this should be absolute top 4240. Right now, not even looking at that. But this would be this would come into play if Apple starts a rally and the FOMC turns somehow into some rally. I don't know why it would, but if it does, then this would become the base case, and there's a very good chance it will easily pass through that and start to push into this number 4,300. So the mean on the 1 hour is just about here. It's stopped there, 41.60, and bounce off of that mean right here. So it has to come back in actually around here, 41.47. Then it makes sense for it to start to push back up. So to the upside, again, this is the upside. If it clears the 8, which is sitting at 41.90, 41.92, this is the base case to the upside. And if it clears the base case to the upside, and we're looking for a hit of 42.27, the 8 on the daily. And if it clears there, then we're looking for a push into 4,300. This would be a tough ask, uh, where how the situation is right now. This would be a tough ask, but not totally impossible. Why? Because last time it touched its 8 is all the way here, 22nd April, and it should not, this should not happen. That it it's away from its 21 for such a long time. It should not happen. So this probably is a good, there's a good chance that it's going to go hit its 21. There's a very good chance of that happening. But if for again, this is we all we are doing is educated speculation. That is what we are doing. Based on our technicals here, the averages are moving up, RSI is moving up. So based on that, we are making a educated assumption. This is how the price is going to go. But doesn't matter what we're doing. If the big institutions figure out that whatever it doesn't sit well with them and they start dumping, then it will come crashing down. So to the downside again, 41. What is that downside that we were looking for? 40. No, not 4261 should be a good upside. So let's see. To the upside, this is how it's going to proceed. Uh, a clearance of 5 here on the daily, and then we're going to hit the 8 on the daily. That clears, we're going to hit the 5 on the weekly. 4264, if that clears, 4300 is on the 4307 or something like that. And to the downside, if it starts pushing down, then think where is month? Yeah, if it starts pushing down, we should test this number first. Rather, we should test this number. Where is that? Right about here. 4118 or something like that. Now, there should be one more number before this. There should be one more number, which is the mean. So if it starts to come back down, it has to test the mean, which is sitting at about 4164 or something. And if mean breaks, then we could look for a push into 4107, 4100. And if that breaks, we are looking for a push into 4018. Will not happen in a straight line. I am pretty sure there are some other technicals that will come into picture, like this one here, 4080 something. Then SPX 15-minute chart right about here. There's a very good chance for a bounce for about 41.48 and 41.40. So this range will act as a good bounce spot. And if it bounces here, we can again look for puts, and it starts to push down below there, then we'll look for a push into 4100. And the 4100 should act as some solid support. If not, then we are looking for a push into day before yesterday's, or rather Friday's lows, 4067. And if this time it starts to push down, I think this will act as support one way or the another. But then this is where this is where it is headed into about 41 or something, right about here. Sorry, 4024 or something. Right now, not pricing in any of that. Right now, perhaps I'm looking for 4100, 4110 to 4100. That's what I'm looking for. So 75 points to the downside. Should that break, we're looking for a push of Friday's lows. If that breaks, then we're looking for a push of 4040 to 4030. And that's how I want to proceed with that. And this majority of these moves will depend on this one, Apple. So majority of what we are charting will depend on Apple, how Apple behaves here. Apple had a green day according to the regular candles and a red day according to Heikin-Ashi. And Heikin-Ashi is an average, so you can this is much more believable. And here is this thing is still crossed, and if this cross continues on the MACD, then we are easily looking at a push into 153 and whatever this number is. And then for SPX to actually push down into the 4000s, this is what needs to happen. Apple should come back into its mean on the monthly. If that happens, yeah, then SPX will definitely push back down. There's It's just no brainer. But then if Apple starts to push back up, and today it stopped at its 5. So tomorrow again, the 5 is the base case to the upside. And if that clears, then the 8. What happened to this chart? Excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. Right. So here, oh, what is that? I'm looking at. Right. So is here stopping at its 8, and the 5 is about here, 163. So if it clears that 8, and then we're looking for a hit of 5. And this is to the upside, right? So 8 and 5, then most likely 164, 165, which is the first standard deviation. So that's how I want to see that happen to the upside. Again, if the downside starts, if the downside resumes, and you are looking at first test of this number right here. It and if you are watching this chart, you know that this number, the 200 moving average, and it is sitting slightly above that 200 moving average, and that's a good thing. Had it closed below its 200 moving average, then this would have acted as immediate resistance. Right now, this is acting as support, so that's a good thing. And if it breaks below that, then we'll look for downside, further downside. But now, for now, we are looking for upside because it is sitting above its 200 moving average. What is the upside? Right here, this is the base case. 160.44. The 8 is the base case to the upside on the daily. And if it clears that, we're looking for a push into probably 160.90, 161 or something. And then the push into 163 and first standard deviation. So this would be a rally day if this happens. But then to the downside, uh, today's lows would be acting as some sort of a support. Then if that breaks, then we are looking for a push, very clear push into this number right here. Very clear push into this number, 154.60, whatever this number is. And I don't believe that this, if it comes down to this time, if it comes down, I don't believe it's going to stop here. It's going to go all the way to 154 if that starts to come back down. Mariano the dog speaking. uh, yep. So if Apple starts to come back down below and it breaks below its 50 on the day on the weekly, then we are looking for a super trend on the weekly 152. This should act as some sort of super support here because last time it bounced off of that number, and this time also it actually bounced off of this number. And if it pierces that number one more time, then I'm looking for a push into 152. But that being said, if it starts to push higher, then what? Then we're looking for a push into 161, then probably 162, then probably here 163.72. So if that happens, then it's a rally day. And the mean is sitting right about here around 165.50. So if it clears this resistance right around here, then I don't believe that there is anything stopping it from hitting the daily mean around 165 or something like that. Will it happen tomorrow? I doubt it, but I'm not ruling it out because the way that the market is pushed down, it might come back really hard. And Apple being Apple, even with all the broader markets, pushing down and touching new 20 week, touching new 52-week lows, Nasdaq, it did not dent the Apple. The Apple is still sitting in those, higher 50s to 150s to 60s. So Apple did not get dent neither did Microsoft as much as other ones got dented. So Apple and Microsoft are the key to the market tomorrow, and yeah, I will again be watching all of this, and of course, I'll be watching VIX for any big moves on that side. Microsoft to the upside 286. This is what we're looking for, a hit on the mean, and if it hits the mean, there's a very good shot that it's going to go into 289.92, 289, whatever this number is coming into. And if the market rally continues, then we're looking for a push into 292. $10 is not that big of a deal for Microsoft these days. So yeah, looking for that. And this is the guy, 10-year. So we knew this was going to come back down into, and then we knew it was going to go push all the way to 3. It did happen, and after 3 it's kind of loitering around this spot, and I believe that it needs to come back into this 2.94 one more time and test that, and then starts to push higher tomorrow. For sure this is going to push until Fed says, maybe 25 bips or maybe lower. I don't know why would they do that. But if the Fed comes back and says, 20 bips or 25 bips, then this thing will sink. 10-year will start to push back down pretty hard, probably around 2.8. Tomorrow itself we'll see this number, 2.82 or something like that, and or maybe 2.78. But if Fed comes around and says, 75 bips, and this thing will skyrocket. And where would it, let's see, where would it end up? Most likely, 310 and or maybe higher around, let's say, I don't have any numbers here. Maybe 3.12 or 3.14. So around somewhere around here. We can expect that thing to push higher. But if Fed says, let's say 50 bips, so I think it will remain around this number, 3.03, somewhere around. Not really plotting it anything beyond that number as of now, somewhere around here, or at the max 3.14 or 3.15. So this is pretty good. If you have, if you want to keep recession at bay, or at least the theoretical recession, or the mathematical recession for that matter, the mathematical recession, if you want to keep that at bay, you would want to see 10-year keep climbing, and that is a very good thing. And now, besides that, if it starts to come back down into its 200 on the monthly, yeah, there's a very good possibility of that happening as well, because it has left all its moving averages here. There's a good possibility that it will actually come back down into this number. But right now, with the rising rates, not really pricing that in. But if for whatever reason Fed says 20 points or 25 bips, 20 bips to 25 bips, then we will see 2.67 tomorrow. I don't doubt that. And I'll be keeping an eye on all of this data tomorrow. And again, we'll look for a cool, calm FOMC, just like we've been doing for two FOMC meetings so far. I think one in January and one in what last month? I don't know. I can't remember. Okay, and smooth FOMC voice. Yeah. This thing. So this thing is the one that helps me a lot figure out which direction the market is going to move and how fast the things would happen, yada yada yada. So VIX is the one that I want to be always watching. And for now, I think this thing is kind of coming down. It should have hit this number, but it did not. So what happened to VIX today? This is what has happened to VIX today. VIX left at 5, so it was a very good it was pretty much understood that it was going to go back into its 5, which it did. Then we were looking for a push into its 8, which it did. And I am still in the camp that this has to come back down right about till here, 2712 or whatever this number is. So I don't think that's going to come back in straight line. 28.85 next, then it's going to go back into 27, then probably into this number, 26 something. So this is the trajectory of VIX if the technicals were to be true. If the technicals hold true, this is the trajectory of VIX to happen. And the mean is sitting about around 25.46. So give or take, this is what needs to happen for VIX, but not in a straight line. Not really looking for that straight line of VIX pushing down. So then what? If VIX starts a push from here, then we're looking for a push into 3065. And obviously, we'll be watching all of these numbers tomorrow. And if VIX starts a bounce off of one of those levels, then the VIX will again head back into this 36. Right? This is where VIX will head back into second standard deviation. And if the selling continues to be brutal, then we are looking for a push into 38 and nothing beyond that. Because at this point, everything is known. There is nothing unknown from VIX. So to the upside, again, 36. If selling gets really brutal, about 36.50 to 38. Yeah, this is what we're looking for, VIX to the upside. But right now, not really pricing that in. I still want to see this thing continue to the downside. Probably will get that tomorrow in the first hour of trading or the first session of trading, first half session of trading. 27, 29, 29.80, then a clearance of that we put at 30.60. Then if starts to push down from one of these levels, we are looking for a push into these numbers. So you have a super trend waiting here around 28.80 or something. After that, a push into 27.70. If that breaks, then that means it's very weak. VIX is very weak. And then we could look for a push into 26.60. That would be a full-blown market rally day. Full thing. So that's on the VIX side of things. Now let's look at Tesla. So this would be an eventful day for Tesla tomorrow. I don't know where is the strength coming into Tesla. I have no idea, but there is definitely strength in Tesla. I don't know why people do not want to sell it. There might be some reason that I don't know, or I'm overlooking, or I don't know what's happening, but there is definitely strength in Tesla. So again, the upside remains intact. The target to the upside remains intact, 937, whatever this number is. If that clears, then we'll have a good shot at 957 to 960. And then the mean is sitting about 976. This is the trajectory of Tesla to the upside, not really plotting anything beyond the mean. But if the market starts to push and Apple starts to hit 163 and above, this will clearly clear the mean then. Till then, we are looking for a push. 936, 940. This is the number that we're looking for the upside. And if you are looking at the charts here on the Heikinashi, it was a clear 907 or whatever this number, 905 to 907 was a clear resistance. And once it cleared here, the markets rallied up to 4200 and it hit its 8 and came right back down. Now, the bad thing is that it closed below its 200 moving average. So that's the thing. It pushed above aftermarket, but while the market closed, it closed below its 200. That's not as bullish as I would want to think. So now what to the downside? So if it starts to push downside, then we still have this one right here, about 863 to 850. So 855 to 865. So this is the range that will play within. And if it overshoots a little bit because of momentum, 850. So beyond this, I don't really have a number. And if it starts to go beyond this, and then the previous day, the Friday's lows are here. Uh, and most likely it will go test those numbers. If it tests those numbers, then probably it will become, a very easy target to push down below into the mean 785. And this is the reason I was looking for those 750, that 750 number on for Tesla. It might not happen in a straight line, and if you are somebody who's good with technicals and all the technicals and all the time frames, yeah, this was a pretty decent push up and then push down for Tesla. And here is the 932 number that I was looking to achieve today, 32 935, but we couldn't get to that number. Stop right about here. So if it clears here, then this is the next number that we're looking for. Everything suggests that 934, 935, whatever that number is. So let's say 935 to 940 is the range. So everything is suggesting to that 935, 940. Okay, then to the downside, immediate downside is 473 and 460, then 450, then we have a clear shot at 800. That breaks below, then we have 780. This is how I want to play Tesla. And of course, we would be looking at, playing whatever it is, however it is, according to the technicals, whichever way the technicals push us, we will go in the same direction. Bitcoin. This thing is not reacting right to whatever. I don't know, not reacting right is the right word or not, but it has failed. This thing is totally failed. This should have been the time where, if at all Bitcoin was to push to 100,000 or whatnot, this would have been the time for this to happen. But it did not. It failed miserably. I don't know who is holding this thing up, why they're holding this up. This is beyond me at this point. Uh, yeah, this is a total failure. And if it kind of, well, technicals are technicals. If it breaks here, looking for a push into 37. Obviously, then it has left its 5 here, so it needs to go back up and test its mean again. The technicals are pointing up, so looking for a test of mean here. And then again, push back down probably into these numbers. 23, 24, whatever this is. Let's see how it goes. Uh, yeah, the sooner this happens, the better for everybody. The sooner the bandit rips off, then it's much better. Bitcoin, and then this guy said Putin is behind Bitcoin now. I don't know how far that is true, but yeah, he said that Putin is behind Bitcoin. He did say that. Yep. So that's on the Bitcoin side of things, and the thing that I'm eyeing right now is Amazon, both to the upside and to the downside. And well, Friday this was the play. We caught that. Yada yada yada. That's done. So now what? So if it clears here, and I was watching Amazon all day, did not take a trade for Amazon, but just about here, it hit this number to a T and came back down. Now, if FOMC provides enough fodder, which it looks like it will, then to the upside, 2631 is pretty much sitting there. Okay? But let's not go that far. Right about here, at least this is what we can get. 2534. So that is still a good 40, let's say 50 points, right? From 85 to 35, that is still a good 50 points to the upside. And what after that? The first standard deviation is sitting here, about 2557. So if you capture at least, at least half of that move, you're still Gucci. And the 5 is sitting at 2725. That is still way above there. There's a big so it doesn't, so not to say that the technicals won't come down. even if the technicals start to come down, then in the five, if the five comes down below like around 25.40 or something like that, still at some point in time it will come back and hit that number. 190%. Wow, fucked up big time. So yeah, uh, but not still not looking to play on this chart either. And this is where, let's get the range. So this is pretty much sitting there, right? The five is here, and the five is around 25.97. So this number is pretty much sitting there. And what I understood from the gap theory and whatnot, this is the gap, uh, 27.17 all the way through 26.18. So $100 gap, I guess. But I don't know when will that fill. Whatever it is, I don't understand the dynamics of that. So going just by my technicals, the way I understand the technicals, five is sitting at around 2600. So if you are able to capture even, so that is a good 115 points. So if you're even able to capture around 50 points out of that, or let's say 40 points out of that, you're still okay. You'll still make money on that trade. So that's the reason the other day I actually sold puts on that. I closed that position. If you did that and you were close to, if you held through it, you were close to about 90% profits on that. I closed around about 60% profits on that. And I closed all of the strikes. I did not. I don't really have any of the strikes right now. I closed all of them. It was a bit scary when it pushed down to around 23.85 or not whatnot, but I was not really concerned a whole lot because we knew it left at five and everything, and it has to go back into that. So yeah, because of that, I was not very concerned. So uh, right. So beyond that, are you guys looking for anything, any specific stocks? Facebook. Let's see. Facebook, I am still in the camp that thinks that it needs to go back around to 223 or something. So I am still in the camp that says that it needs to go back into this number. Uh, Earnings were pretty decent, and the market conditions, if they improve tomorrow, then we will see this thing at 224 tomorrow, and perhaps into 234 following day. If the market says a push to the upside is happening, and again these numbers we know, 5, 8, whatnot, and if it clears here, 223, 224 is sitting right there. Then let's see on the monthly, this, if the markets push down, then most likely this is the case, right? And not in a straight line, of course. First, you'll get a test of 189 or whatnot. 205, 205, yeah. 205 is a very good support for Facebook. And if that breaks, we're looking for a push into 190. And if that breaks, we're looking for a push into 173 or 174, something like that. To the upside, 230 is still intact. This number is still intact to the upside. And I'm pretty sure majority of the market participants are watching this number. Uh, and if that clears, we'll reassess the situation to the upside. But this should act as, if Facebook pushes up, this should act as very solid resistance for Facebook. So on any given chance, tomorrow if Facebook comes up into 224 or something, I'll look to sell calls around here 239 for a passive trade, and look for, if this is all, if FOMC starts to push, and I'll look for calls of Facebook into 2020, 224 or something like that. I wouldn't wait around and find out if it's going to go hit all the way to 230 or not. But 224 seems like a good idea to exit. And yep, right about here. And so this number is still intact. And the upside, not really pricing in that thing yet. This is to the upside. And right about here, 217 or something. If it starts to push up, so this is the base case. So it is stopping right about here, 214 or something. So this is my base case, 214.41, and this is my good to have 216.81. Then absolute top should be around 217 something. If under normal circumstance, but this is tomorrow would be FOMC whatnot. If it starts to push, then we are looking for a push into 224, pretty much based on this chart. And to the downside, I think this is still intact, 207. This will act as some sort of a serious support for Facebook. 50 on the daily, and then the mean on the daily is around 206.60. Should act as some sort of a solid support zone. Should that break, then if the mean breaks, then very easy target is the 21, 204, and then 204.30. Then it will start to push back down into 200s and beyond. Not really pricing in anything below 200 for tomorrow. And but in case the markets, Apple starts to push down, Microsoft start to push down, and then in that case, yeah, Facebook should start to push down and clear that 200 and push into 191. That would still be a good 20 bucks from where it is right now. And if it actually pushes below 200 or something like that, then again, I think it will go and test that 179 number one more time. Let's see, CCL. Oh, what happened to this thing? Wow. Most of the stocks are in the same boat as CCL and the others. The bottom here, and then you need to go back and touch it. It's one standard is sitting at 1798, and five is sitting at about 1815 or something like that. If that clears, then 1850. On the weekly, that should be the bigger range of things. And on the daily, this is again intact. 1685 is intact. That to the downside. But a push to the upside, again, 1762, it needs to clear that. And then you'll have a shot at 1785 again because it has done it today. There's a very good chance that it will go and do that again tomorrow. There's a super trend sitting right there and it is unable to clear that. But if it does clear that, then we're looking for a push into 1832 and most likely 1846. And this, again, whole scenario will depend on how Apple and Microsoft behave tomorrow. The five, it is 25th of April, not too long ago, but it's still quite a bit of time that it has touched its eight. So if it touches its eight, which is around 1850, that is still a good thing. All of this will happen if Apple starts to push higher, Apple and Microsoft for that matter. Sharp is fucked up. The too fucked up. Earnings. Yeah, this thing. I would have wanted to see Sharp actually crash back into its pandemic lows. Crash back into pandemic lows. I don't know if it did that or no, but right about here. This is where it needs to go down. Right around these numbers. 320 and whatnot. And most likely if tomorrow, if if it starts to, if Apple starts to push into those lower 150s and upper 140s, this thing will sink. It will come back into this number 350, 340, whatever it is. Yep, yep. And that is how it should be. That is how it should be. So for now, I think this is getting over sold here, and this is getting oversold. So a bounce it is expected pretty much. And here is where it's 50 is 675. So at least if it can get around till here, 526 or something, yeah, there's a very good chance that it could bounce around 526. For now, not really pricing that big bounce, unless again, if Apple starts to push higher, then it will push everything up along with it. And we know that stuff. And if it starts to here, if it starts to kind of this thing, what is it, MACD starts to cross over, and you can look for a test of this number 500 to 505. If it tears there, then you could look for a push into 554 on the weekly chart. The daily chart, yeah, it stopped around its 8, but I am see there's a it got super oversold here. So this push up was pretty much sitting there. If Apple starts to push, then it will start to push into 505, pretty much sitting there, 505. And out of this $40 or something, to catch about even 20 bucks or even 10 bucks out of this move, yeah, you're still okay. And this will all happen if FOMC, they don't raise anything beyond 50 bips. 505 is sitting pretty much there. Not really pricing in 550, but yeah, 505 is pretty much sitting there to the upside. So what's the downside? Downside would be still capped around these numbers, 412 to 400, right about here. The lows from the Friday's lows. So 28, was it Friday? 28 was Thursday, I suppose. 28. Oh. 28 was Thursday for these guys. Okay. For Thursday was the lows for them. Okay. Right. So yeah. So this is still intact. The upside, if it crosses here, the upside will be quite a bit of upside on Sharp, but not really pricing in anything. For tomorrow, everything is up in the air. And largely dependent on largely dependent on Apple and Microsoft. And I don't know if I'll be playing any of the individual stocks for tomorrow. I would much rather be, involved in queues. So not even paying. I wouldn't probably be paying attention to SPX as well. Most likely in queues because I think queues will have bigger moves based on the interest rates. All right. Anybody has any data points that they want to share, or anybody is interested in any particular data point, data set, or something like that? You're welcome, sir.
Take a look at T.
Right.
T.
Can't hear you. Is that Hutch? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Hutch.
Take a look at T. AT&T.
T-Mobile,
No, AT&T.
AT&T. Yeah, not really a high beta stock. I think today a piece of news came out that they are going to raise prices on some of their plans, and that's happening about after what 3 years or something. So yeah. So if it starts to push up on this news, 1973 is pretty much sitting there. Um, yeah, 1930, 1940, then push into 1977. I don't know. This is This is not a stock play per se. This is a dividend play, right? And let's see what is the dividend. 5.8% dividend, right? So this is one of the companies that you can just own the stock and leave it and forget about it, for about a year or so. It will keep paying you that dividend, and it will be, it will be trading in a very small range. So yeah, and also there's some news. AT&T awarded 15 million contract to upgrade U.S. defense telecom, whatever that is. That's a stale news last week. But yeah, today I think I think I saw it on Bloomberg, I believe. But yeah, that's a piece of news that's doing the rounds, that AT&T is increasing prices on some of their plans after 3 years. So that should add to their bottom line. Crowd, I am still interested in this thing. Crowd, I am still interested in this thing. So if it comes back below 195 tomorrow again, go to the upside, I think 201. And if it comes down below around 195, 196 again, then we'll look for a push into this number, 192, and then perhaps into 190, yeah, 191, about here. Just about here. Yeah. So if it breaks below that, then we're looking for a push down. And how do I want to play that? I want to get puts if it breaks below 195 or something like that. And calls, if it breaks above 203, looking for calls for about 205 or 206. Chart cues. Cues, don't want to chart cues because cues are dependent on IXIC. So I trade cues based on this. So let's see. Okay. Wow, this thing fucked. Ish, 1200, 12,000. Okay, let's go and look where is that number coming from. Okay, first standard deviation, we broke below that. So looks like we have some sort of an upside here. This is way detached from its 5 and 8, and there's no moving average for this thing. This is orphaned. This is hovering by itself. But in the long run, this is still where it is headed, 11,800. So probably tomorrow we might get this number. Very good chance that we might get this number tomorrow itself. And this downside is still intact. Right? This is still intact. The MACD is still intact to the downside. So let's see how that plays. Tomorrow might be an ephemeral bounce of maybe a couple of 100 points. Let's see, 1289. So good 300 points you can expect a bounce. But after that, whatever it is, it needs to go back and test this number, 1800. Sorry, 11,800. It needs to come back in there, uh, and play cues accordingly. So how do you want to do that? The way that you want to do it is something like this. Weekly index. So right here is the IXIC, and then you have the cues, and this is exactly how I do things. All right, so this is how you want to set up your charts. Nasdaq cues on these two charts are on Heikinashi. These two charts are on regular candles, and yes, I watch about 200 plus charts every single day, just like everybody knows about it. Yeah, and including this chart. So let's go find daily chart. So on the daily, I think the upside is the base case to the upside is 12.6. That clears, then there's a very good shot at 1270, 12,720, or whatever this number is. So for what does that mean for Qs? Qs, the base case to the upside would be 320, and if that clears, there's a good shot at 322 for Qs. Of course, we will reassess all of this situation tomorrow, and Qs are pretty much oversold here. So this move was guaranteed to have hit that 8 or 5. I was expecting it to go hit the 8, but did not happen. It was, I think it was too much of an ask right away. But if FOMC 12 tomorrow, if to the upside, FOMC will put it right here. I don't doubt that, and probably beyond that. So beyond to what, 1300, doable, pretty much doable. About 400 points, 440 points to the upside. Yeah, pretty much doable. I don't doubt that. What does that mean for Qs? Hit of, this is the base case, 319.85, and if it clears that, 322 would be a good to have. That clears, then 330 is what we're watching. That's how you want to play the Qs. And yeah, never play Qs or SPY by itself. Will not be able to gauge clearly what's happening. And now we are going on the lower time frames. Let's see, 1 hour index. So to the upside, this is the immediate action. This is how you want to play. The upside, 12,590, about 30 points to the upside. To the downside, if it breaks below the 5 on the 1 hour, then you're looking for immediate push into the 8, 12,550. And then the mean, pretty much if it clears its, 21, then we're looking for a hit of mean around 12,450 or something like that. This is what is immediate action if you want to play. This is how you can play. What does that mean for the Qs? So if it breaks below its 5 here, which it is riding nicely, and look at the moving average, look at the RSI and the average on the RSI, everything is pointing to the downside for now. So you could expect a push back down into 319, then a push into this number, 318. So this should act as a pretty solid support right here. Why? You have three major moving averages. In fact, four major moving averages sitting right here. So this would act as some sort of a solid support. But if that breaks, that means it is weak and it will come back directly into this. Most likely it will hit the mean about 31730 or something like that. So that's how you go about things. And you have all the indicators telling you what's the direction for the move. So based on all of that stuff, you can make an educated assumption or educated speculation. All right, so wow, I did not see this thing. This thing's really bad. Rot actually is terrible. Yeah. So whenever you see these conditions happening, right? So yesterday, you saw these conditions happen where it got detached from its 5 and it got pretty oversold. That is, a very clear indication that the next day would be up, or at least into the 5. Then 8 would be a good to have, but at least into the 5 is pretty much sitting there. It is, free money sort of thing. So today when I logged in, I think that's the first thing that I saw, that it was detached. The SPX was detached from its 5, and we were looking for a clear push into its 5 right about here. So this was a clean move to the upside right in the morning. All right. So anything else? Any data points that you want to add? All right. So let's.
Everybody to sleep.
Uh, huh?
You've put everybody to sleep.
Why is your voice muffled? Give me a second. I think
No,
it's.
you've put everybody to sleep.
I put everybody to sleep. Most likely, yes. Yes. Charting is a boring subject, guys, but if you do it right, yeah, yeah, you would be. Your bank accounts will not be that boring. And by the way, I think I am pretty close to hitting that 200 mark again today. 7. So 194. I'm stuck at 194. If I can get two more rounds or even one more round. Yeah, I think there's one more. I think there is one more big round that needs to happen within now and 24. I should be able to clear that 200 mark again and probably go a little over 210 or something. Yeah, it is running it as we speak. And then, yeah, diversification, baby.
Did you fund Swapnex yet?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. I did not get to change my bank password yet.
I've got three. I've got three guys under me, and those three guys have made me $112.
On Swapnex?
Yep. On in this will be the third day.
Nice. Anybody want to get this setup done? I am here and I can do it. And Ed is here and Hutch is here. Total profits. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
And
wrap up
this is
video.
oh yeah, please.